If you can all rise and remove your caps, we're going to play national anthem.
Hell yeah.
Stand up. Stand up.
It's 5 o'clock on a sultry Saturday afternoon at the Lucas County Fairgrounds on the outskirts of Toledo, Ohio.
Some heavy hits going on here. This is a mother and daughter coming onto the track.
Yes, you heard that right. We're at a demo derby.
3, 2, 1, let's get it!
Bubble guard. Down here.
The daughter comes out on top.
Yeah, hit the car.
Today we're here to see Demolition Derby. Excited for the Demolition Derby. Yeah.
Could you give me your full name and then spell it out, please?
Ronnie Broadway, Ronnie Broadway.
Oh, like the street.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Do you like Broadway shows? That's not relevant, just curious.
I mean, I like Hamilton.
Real. How long have you lived in Toledo? Do you live in Toledo?
Yeah, I've lived here my whole life.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm 18. I've lived here since I was born.
And what do you think of availability of recreational activities, especially because you're 18, young adult?
Well, there's plenty of things to do. We got one of the best zoos in America. So yeah. I love the zoo. I like to bowl. Love bowling. Plenty of trampoline parks, go-karting, random stuff like that.
Stuff like that. Contrary to popular belief, Midwest cities do have more to offer than demo derbies and livestock auctions. Although we went to both and had a great time. A real cultural experience. But ask any Toledoan what makes Toledo great, and there's a standard list.
We are always going to the zoo, to the metro parks, the new Glass City Park downtown.
We go to Lucas County Fair, we go to Mud Hens games, sort of like whatever was around, going watching the fireworks, sitting on the bridge, and just hanging out with family mostly. So there was and the zoo. My God, we love the zoo.
Yeah, we like it here. We like the park systems too. The park systems are fantastic. We actually got married in one of the park systems, which was super cool. We got married at the Manor.
Toledo isn't short on amenities, and that, coupled with the low cost of living, makes it, in theory, the perfect place for any young person to build the life they want to live. But as we've heard throughout this season, many young people aren't satisfied with ease and comfort. If it's a search for adventure that has led them away from Toledo, how could this city transform to provide that spark and excitement that so many bright young minds are hungry for? Or is it enough that one day those very same people might find themselves looking for what Toledo already offers? Welcome to Brain Drain, a brand new Midstory production that presents the city of Toledo through the eyes of the people who've left it behind. I'm Yannick Schaller. Episode 5. I'm after whatever the other life brings. Allende Bonifacio didn't grow up going to demo derbies and livestock auctions. He didn't grow up going to world-class zoos and metro parks either.
I was born in the Dominican Republic, a small farm town called Juncalito. So for the first decade of my life, home was going back home to the Dominican Republic, and particularly to that small town, that small rural farm town where my family had been cultivating coffee beans for over 250 years. My sense of home was always tethered to that farm town.
Allende's family moved to New York City, where Allende spent most of his childhood.
As I got older, as I became a teenager, as I learned how to live and survive in Brooklyn, East New York, my sense of home shifted a little bit, and home then became the street I grew up on, Sunnyside Avenue in East New York, Brooklyn, and my friends, the people who made me feel safe, who made me feel loved, who made me feel seen. on the block. That became home.
Allende eventually went on to do his PhD at The Ohio State University.
I experienced a sort of culture shock when I moved to Columbus because I immediately felt other there. And it wasn't just that I felt that I didn't belong. I felt like I was away from home in I guess in the most exaggerated way possible. It was then that home began to feel like it was somewhere in the East Coast, whether that was Pennsylvania or like Connecticut or Vermont or places I've never been. That sort of, I always had this gravitational pull towards the East. I needed to find my way back. I remember there one person asked me like, where are you from? I know you're not from here. So that there I felt like that my place was imposed upon me. Like, okay, clearly I'm not from here. I have a sort of accent, right? It's not that I have just a Spanish accent. It's like a geographical, like New York or East Coast kind of accent. And that was clear. It felt like it was missing the things I expected from a big city, right? In terms of culture, in terms of people, in terms of language, in terms of experiences, in terms of class stratification. I just expected that feeling, right? I remember going downtown and thinking, why is downtown deserted?
Some of Midstory's interns had the same feeling when they arrived in Ohio.
Hello.
That's Anavi Prakash.
I am a rising junior at Northwestern University studying journalism and social policy. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so also in the Midwest. And my first impression of Toledo was when I was driving in from the airport, and everything just seemed like brick boxes lining the streets. I don't know, I wasn't used to seeing everything so close together, yet it almost felt like everything was also so far away.
Anavi spent her summer talking to Toledoans about the place they call home, finding out what people think is missing from their city.
What is it that you're going to focus on today?
So this episode looks at the sense of adventure, or the lack of it, in places like Toledo and elsewhere in the Midwest for young people specifically. They want to go anywhere else to kind of find some vibrance, is a word that was used a lot in their lives. But at the same time, as they get older, they come back to visit Toledo, see the city through fresh eyes, and they find this comfort, this familiarity that, for some people, actually makes them want to stay.
The research tells us a lot of things. They tell us, one, that young people just want to try new things, right? And I think that that's innate in us as people, as humans. And we want to exert our independence. I think that's also part of it, right? Like leaving the nest, quite literally, in a lot of ways. And I think that that's actually super valuable. I think that's important. I think that that is how we have, as a species, accomplished so many of the things that we have. People were willing to leave and go and try and seek new things and find new things.
That's Dr. Nicole Pfeiffer, the director of the Center for Regional Development at Bowling Green State University. She grew up in Northwest Ohio, but eventually left for education and career building elsewhere. Now she's back and helping lead the charge for talent retention.
This is a controversial opinion, but I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, in that when young people have the opportunity to leave, go seek the things that they are seeking to see and find, look at different perspectives and see different places, and then come back home and look at the community with fresh eyes. Sometimes you can see the things that you didn't see before.
I don't blame people for wanting to go out and experience a place that has more options of things to do. I grew up in Sylvania, so I thought like the whole universe was Sylvania. And, that is a lovely community, but it's very family oriented.
Meet Molly Lutke, a Toledo resident who isn't shy about her love for the city. After growing up in the nearby suburb of Sylvania, she moved to Toledo after college and quickly found a group of people who keep her social calendar stacked and give her a strong feeling of fulfillment. But in many ways, Molly is the exception. Other residents we spoke to expressed deep frustrations with Toledo, describing it as a difficult place to find like-minded individuals and engaging activities.
My oldest niece, who's the closest to going to college, absolutely doesn't believe that she wants to live in Toledo. She doesn't want to come back here.
The folks that are happiest with the city tend to point to its affordability and family-friendly atmosphere. But those people are often raising families of their own. They fit right in. Molly and her niece don't.
She has a similar experience, which is she's growing up in a suburb in a very traditional community where almost everybody is married with multiple children, sending their kids to school and showing up on soccer games on Saturday, and living a really lovely life, but it's one specific way of living a life, right?
But if you had to offer any advice to her, or maybe you have offered advice to her, what would that look like? What would that sound like?
I'm not even sure I would try to encourage her not to move away. I just think I don't want her to leave here thinking, gotta get out of here because Toledo's so awful, because it really isn't. It's just that you have to put effort into changing the experience. If you don't like the experience you had growing up in a suburb, you just have to proactively change that.
We left Allende in Columbus, where Ohio just didn't quite feel like home. After grad school, Allende moved back to New York City. But then he and his partner got the offer of a lifetime for 2 academics in the humanities from the University of Toledo.
My partner and I were both offered positions in the English department, which is the holy grail of dual partner hire. If you get that kind of thing, you just have to. And again, I felt for some reason, and I interviewed in at many places, and returning to Ohio for a job, even though I had never visited Toledo, but returning to this state felt familiar. I was like, I've been here. It's, I was here for 6 years for grad school, and something about Ohio surprisingly felt like home.
And then one key thing changed everything: having a kid.
My sense of home wasn't solidified here until I had my daughter, until we had our daughter. And, she was born at Toledo Hospital, ProMedica. And I feel like, this constant search for home and assigning place to home changed into something else. And I began to think of home not so much in terms of geography, but more so in terms of family and community.
Allende isn't the only one who thinks Toledo is a great place for kids. In our reporting for this podcast, dozens of people have called Toledo family-friendly. But do the stats actually back that reputation up? Only 60% of Toledo's residents are between the ages of 18 and 64. For comparison, nearly every other major American city has a larger proportion of their population within that age range. In New York, it's 63%. In LA and Chicago, it's 67%. In San Francisco, it's 68%, and in Boston, it's 72%. Even other nearby cities like Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati have percentages in the high 60s. The biggest factor in Toledo's percentage is the large population of children living in the city. 26% of Toledo's residents are below the age of 20, which, alongside Columbus, is the highest proportion of any of the cities we just mentioned. In fact, Toledo is such a family-friendly city that kids and teenagers are more common inside city limits than in the suburbs. This is actually quite remarkable, given how virtually every other city in America has the inverse relationship with its surrounding areas. Even as we're focusing on this issue of brain drain, it's worth remembering that, where family friendliness is concerned, New York, Chicago, and San Francisco wish they could be more like Toledo. And Toledo is building on that momentum. In the last decade alone, Metro Parks, the region's public park district, has transformed Toledo's relationship to the riverfront, which might just be the city's oldest and most valuable amenity. Matt Killam is Metro Parks' Chief of External Affairs.
I used to own bars in the Chicagoland area, and I moved back to raise a family here, be closer to my family, and enjoy what it's like to live in the Midwest. So the Metro Parks didn't drive me back, certainly, but it's made my life better here. My little girls do play in the same play area that I did. And as an employee, getting to participate in something that makes their community better is incredibly fulfilling. I would have probably come back no matter what, right? But this is making it a lot better for me, and it is making for a very rewarding life.
Metro Parks was founded in 1928. Much of its infrastructure was built through the New Deal's Works Progress Administration and Civilian Conservation Corps. By 1939, the Metro Parks covered 1,000 acres of land across Lucas County. In 2019, 6 million people visited Lucas County's Metro Parks. The next year, Metro Parks won the National Gold Medal for Excellence in Parks and Recreation Management. By 2020, a Metro Park was within 5 miles of every Lucas County resident. But their largest and most ambitious project was just getting started.
When we were looking at the downtown park, for instance, we benchmarked all over the country, and what we saw just from an economic development standpoint was from every $1 of public money invested in the riverfront, there was a $7 to $20 return in economic development, right? And our little project downtown has seen numbers right in the middle of there. So we've been open since 2019, October 2019, so the end of 2019. We've seen over $400 million worth of development around it.
Glass City Metro Park is part of a larger effort to develop Toledo's Riverwalk. After years of failed investments and broken promises, the city is finally reconnecting with the Maumee. The abandoned industrial lands along the river are being transformed into 5 miles of connected, multi-use greenway. The Glass City Metro Park itself is set to be complete in its entirety in 8 years. It will feature restored shoreline habitats, as well as playgrounds, a roller and ice skating ribbon, a restaurant, and a scale model of the Maumee for kids to splash around in. Matt said these amenities are top of the list when people consider where they want to live.
6 neighborhoods surround the downtown Metro Park, some of which are the most challenged from amenities and things of that variety of crumbling infrastructure, which is not unique for a town like ours, sort of in a flyover state, if you will. But trails and green space adds to the property value. It is our amenities that almost immediately people check off as things that they find desirable to live near their homes.
Toledo is transforming. Its amenities are thriving, but many young people are still waiting for something more, something that Toledo is working on, but might not have fully figured out yet.
Anavi, you were actually at the Glass City Park in person this past summer, right?
It's a really cool park. It just seemed like a lot of fun. When we went over the summer, there were a lot of little kids there, and it felt like there were a lot of summer camps going on, but there was definitely just a very positive environment.
You only went once. Do you think that you'd want to go back?
I think I would go back if I were visiting Toledo. If I was in Toledo, I would go back to Glass City. But I do think that for someone my age, it's fun to do those things once in a while, but kind of coming back to the ribbon and going around again, or climbing up on the same rock wall, swinging on the same swings, they can get a little repetitive, and I might want to go look elsewhere, as I imagine is the case for some of the young people in Toledo.
Like Anavi said earlier in this episode, many of the people we interviewed spoke about searching for vibrance. They want a sense of adventure. They want a risk-tolerant, innovative, and curious environment. And these aren't just some abstract qualities that young people like to lay claim to. They also play an integral role in maintaining the urban ecosystem. Research has shown that young people, in part because of their adventurousness, are more likely than their older counterparts to start new businesses, donate to charitable causes, and advocate for social and economic justice within their communities. But at the same time, no city can rely on youthful enthusiasm alone. Toledo doesn't have to shed its family-friendly identity to allow for a younger demographic to take root in the city. Nor should it. After all, in an era when so many people are leaving, why dismiss one of the qualities that has drawn folks to the city and brought former Toledoans home? Here's Allende again.
So I think the city must build on that so that it retains the population, especially the younger population that has kids, because there are other cities that have that too, okay? There are other mid-size or, a little larger cities in Toledo that have all those things too, that are really family-friendly, that are affordable, and so on and so forth. It can't just be that, though, right? Because there are different types of families, right? There are families who enjoy shows or enjoy, I don't know, different cultural experiences, like my family, right? Who enjoy an intellectual culture, an intellectual space. There are families that enjoy diversity of whatever type, right? So you have, those things have to be available too, I think, for certain families. Because, again, I think that a family-friendly identity solely is, for lack of a better word, it's not that unique, I think that's one thing. I think the city can build on that, and it should, and it is, and continue doing that. At the same time, there are other pockets of identity that should be built as well, in tandem with the family-friendly image. We can do more than one thing. We should strive for the betterment of all these other pockets, right? In terms of like what makes our city Toledo.
So what does make Toledo, Toledo? What are those other pockets that Allende's talking about? If there's anything we've learned from producing this podcast, it's that there are as many different motivations to be in Toledo as there are different kinds of Toledoans. For Molly Lutke, choosing Toledo is about enjoying the chosen family she's surrounded herself with.
That's why the idea of leaving Toledo has never really gone that far for me, because my community, my personal community here is so rich that I can't pick them up and take them all with me. So I don't think it would feel like home to me being somewhere else. I think it'd feel exciting. I think it'd be fun. I think it would do lots of things. What I don't think it would do is feel like home to me.
For Nicole Pfeiffer, choosing Toledo had to do with transforming identities for herself, but also for the city.
There was a time in my life where I probably would have said, I'm never going back there. Honestly, there probably was. I know there was. And I'm sure I said it to many people. But that changed. And that changed because I changed. My place in life changed, but also because this place changed.
For Allende, choosing Toledo means choosing a life he would never otherwise have been able to have.
My life would not be the way it is now had I stayed in New York City. I know it. I know for a fact that it wouldn't be the way it is now. So I'm very grateful for choosing to take that leap and, and making this home.
Brain Drain is a Midstory podcast written and hosted by Dea Kukeli and by me, Yannick Schaller. Additional reporting on this episode by Anavi Prakash. Our editors are Logan Sander and Samuel Chang. Sound design and engineering on this episode is by yours truly. Original artwork for the series by Ruth Chang and Joshua Rep. Data analysis by Tsaisha Tsui, Anna Diasio, and Yitong Jiang. Fact-checking by Terry Brisky. Special thanks go to our lovely team of interns who called Toledo home for, at least, a summer. Anavi Prakash, Yasu Shinozaki, Rajan Carson, Martin Barreto, and Desiree Lua. For more information, research, and reading material, please check out the show notes for this episode, available at midstory.org/braindrain. If our reporting has struck a chord or a nerve, we want to hear from you. Reach us on social media or via email at braindrain@midstory.org. Thanks for listening.